Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, somebody's got an echo there.
Good day. Not me.
Audio.
I don't know who that is. Ah. It could actually be me.
I'm not sure.
Sounds like might have it. No, there it is, silly.
So, Henry, I am here on my desktop as well as my iPhone, so I show up twice on your board.
That's probably where the echo or the whoop whoop's coming from too. If you've got sound on both of those devices.
I don't have sound on both. But if it makes it any easier, I can get off the desktop.
Well,
Well, maybe try it, see what it is.
Okay. Okay.
still
I don't-
there.
How to exit? Let's see. Wait a minute. Here we go. Leave. All right. Leave meeting. Okay.
Aha.
Is that better?
Yep.
Yep, that sounds like that was the problem.
Oh my goodness. Who knew?
Okay, we're short. Karen
I'm calling Janice right now.
and Janice. Yep.
Good morning, Miriam.
Top of the morning there, John.
Hey,
Janice is going to sign on in 1 sec.
Okay.
So do the earphones go on and then the hat? Or does the hat go
all
on,
right. Good question.
you know? You gotta make the headphones a different size if you got a hat.
Maybe you could come up with a combined hat and headphone.
Uh-oh.
I like that. Especially now that everybody is,
And mask.
and a mask.
Uh-oh.
Is that Mary Lou I hear?
Yes.
Hello, Mary Lou.
Good morning. Good morning.
Goodbye,
John.
heart.
Haven't looked in the mirror yet.
I had a word with Karen and she's got all the information she needs. I don't know.
I also talked with her.
Yeah. I hope she can make it.
Janice is here.
Mm-hmm. We'll wait a minute or two for Karen.
Hmm.
I have just 10:01 right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good morning, Janice.
Good morning.
Hi.
Before we get started, I just want to make an announcement to the commission that there's going to be a period of time sometime in the next month or two where I'm going to be out of commission for some surgery. And Janice has agreed to step in and take over during that time.
Okay.
Is that something we need to vote?
I don't know. Do you want to, I mean, I don't really think it needs to be because I'm not giving up my position. She's just taking over a task for me, the taking minutes.
Yeah, Janice has actually
Okay.
served that function before, and for those of you who've not been on the commission very long, Janice was secretary and chair for the most part for a while.
Well, not real chair, only like acting chair.
Just sort of acting chair.
Rocking chair.
Yeah.
So Miriam, you're going to be out of commission? Out of-
Well, I am not going to be able to use my right arm for 3 weeks,
Mm,
and I'm right-handed.
So
I may be able to do some typing using voice recognition. I have to
that's,
play around with that.
yeah, it's pretty hard.
I've not had good success with it in the past.
So will you come to the meetings?
Yeah, as long as I'm not stoned on narcotics, sure. Maybe I'll come even if I am stoned on narcotics.
I was gonna say, it might help, yeah.
Might
it'd
help.
be fun to watch. Yeah.
Goodness.
I won't be like my husband. He had a major operation a couple years ago, and we're driving home from the hospital like 2 hours later after he had like this 2.5 hour surgery, and he's taking engineering work calls on his cell phone.
Oh,
I'm like, I think he was actually texting from the recovery room. I was like, don't even do that.
If it makes you feel any better, my sister had that operation twice.
wow.
The one that Miriam's getting.
Huh.
And,
Yeah, my husband had both shoulders done.
oh man,
Wow.
Yeah, we've been through this.
are you
But is the rotor,
tennis
What?
players or golf?
I'm sorry, what?
Tennis
Is the-
players?
I'm sorry.
No,
Henry.
we were, my husband and I were whitewater kayakers for many years.
Oh,
And we were instructors and we led groups and we did
Oh.
kayaking like crazy. And we just beat the hell out of our shoulders.
Ah,
Almost everybody I know who was a whitewater kayaker 20 years ago, 30 years
Hmm.
ago, now have had all sorts of shoulder stuff.
my.
We had fun.
Fair warning to us all. I'm tempted to say we're going to get started here. It's 5 after. And I don't see her. I'll have to keep an eye out. I get notice here if she's arrived or not. What do you say? Shall we get on with it?
Yes.
guess so.
Wait, it's 5 after.
Yeah.
Everybody have the agenda?
Yep. Now let me just share it with you all. Find it that thing. Oops. Just had it. All right, what did I do with it? I was gonna share the first item on the agenda is to discuss Mark Andrews. This I memorized. We can discuss Mark Andrews while I shuffle through this to find the agenda. We all looked at the contract. It has, I've just to report back. We all did look at that, yes, last time, last night, was it? When was that? Wednesday.
Thursday? Wednesday, whatever it was. Yeah, Wednesday.
I lose track of time. Anyway,
Yeah.
the only update I have is that I've been in touch with Mark Andrew, actually contacted him. We spoke by phone regarding some feedback and suggestions from town lawyer. And he was going to get back to me as soon as possible. This was my hope, and I made that clear. He's busy apparently doing a lot of solar farms around the Western Mass area.
Uh-huh.
So I caught him in the field. He was actually moving around, noise. But that's the deal. I've also been in touch with the lawyer about it. It's a negotiation process as to how we proposed this contract. I guess we're going to vote on it. Yes?
Yes,
Kidding.
we need to have a motion for that.
We need a motion on this.
Yes.
Right.
Hiring Mark Andrews as an official TIPO, a traditional, what is it now? Historical Preservation Officer.
Tribal Historic
Tribal.
Preservation of it.
Tribal, yes, excuse me.
So I'm
And-
sorry.
And I want to highlight the importance, of course, of having someone who is officially designated with a tribe.
Right.
I've actually been in touch with folks around the country. One of my best friends is actually the lawyer for the Navajo people, the largest tribe in this country. I've also been in touch with someone who coordinates for the Ojibwe and Anishinaabe.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Where were they out of?
Well, they're actually a professor at UMass at the
Oh,
moment.
no kidding. Who's that?
Sonia Atale.
Huh.
You know, I grew up in Ojibwe country.
Yeah, that's Midwest.
Well, it's the
north.
where I was, Upper Peninsula of Northern Michigan.
Yeah. Canada, that area.
Right.
But these people are all in touch. There's a very strong conviction that the tribal representatives are, in a sense, acknowledging the tribal representatives is acknowledging the capacity and right of these people to designate representatives. Right, it's not that these people suddenly come out of nowhere, but they are actually, it's a democratic process, which they are certainly capable of pursuing with all of its flaws. But clearly, as we know, in the rest of America, democracy is something you have to practice every day, and we have to remind ourselves about it every day. But yeah, that's the deal. And that's why we're doing this. Anyway, so I make a motion.
Henry,
Yes,
could I make a comment?
sure.
Yes, I have a question too. My hand is up. I don't know if Henry, you can see it or not.
No, I've been looking for stuff here. Sorry. Who was first? Who's on first?
Well, I think Mary Lou might have been, and then I have.
Okay, Mary Lou, go for it.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. One, I don't understand the town council, the lawyer here, Donna. I don't understand completely her involvement with our group. I've been with the Historic Commission since I moved to town 15 years ago, and nobody ever talked about a lawyer, number one. Number two, I don't know how we can vote on this in front of us when you just said there was an amendment. And so don't we have to like reread it or something before we can give
No. Okay.
no, wait a minute, I didn't finish. Before we can give a complete vote, and that isn't to say that I don't think that what we're doing is wonderful, because I do. My whole standpoint in the very beginning was I put it in writing, and I was told that the conversation had to stop because it broke open meeting law, that I was giving my opinion. And my opinion was that we shouldn't go forward unless we do what we're doing right now. Okay, thank you.
Well, Miriam, did you want? I
Yeah.
we're supposed, but go ahead. Yeah.
I just want, well, I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying, Henry, that by acknowledging and working with a TIPO, we are making a decisive statement that we as a government, as a local government, are recognizing the status of tribes as governments, as sovereign governments that can relate to our government, both on the local, state, and federal levels. And I think that that's a really important act, which has not happened in Shutesbury. On a formal level, I think it's a huge responsibility for us, but I think it's an important one. In terms of agreements, I mean, I think there's a two-step process here. One is we agree that we are going to hire somebody, and we can agree on payment mechanisms. We can agree on this, how much we're going to pay. The details of the agreement, the contract, if you will, or whatever it's going to be, formal documents, can follow afterwards. And really, it should just be once the chair and the town has worked out the details, it should just be a pro forma, sure, great, this is okay, go ahead with it. Assuming that the chair is acting in good faith, working with the town government and with the consultant to make sure everybody's in agreement. So we can talk today and have a motion to hire him, and then follow up later with the formal agreement to be approved. That's been what has happened on other commissions that I've worked with. That's how hiring consultants works on the Conservation Commission, and that's how hiring consultants works on the Planning Board.
Okay, so I have a question then. What's NHPA?
National Historic Preservation Act of
I
1966.
get it. And section 106. Okay.
That is one provision of it.
Thank you. Okay, so if I'm understanding correct, we can vote to do this, and the logistics of the agreement might be, edited or tweaked, or what say you, but that's going to be okay. That is something we also are voting on.
We would have to vote. Once the final agreement is written up between Henry and the consultant, then, we should have the commission look at it and vote on it.
Okay, all right.
But at that point, there really shouldn't be any negotiation. As I'm saying, now is the time to have discussion, because,
Right.
Henry, if you guys wanted to make all sorts of changes to the agreement, then we would have to go back to the drawing board to get the town council to review it, then getting the TIPO to approve it.
Right.
And that's a slow process.
Okay. So
so-
he himself, I don't know how to address him, Mr. Andrews, has been participating with Henry
Yes.
in drawing this up.
Yeah.
So, well, that gives me comfort in giving my okay. Do you know what I mean? I feel good to give my okay, knowing that Henry and Mr. Andrews are putting this together. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, it's the town lawyer reviews everything, as does the town administrator.
Even an agreement that we make
Well,
with the because no, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Henry. Because historic commission money really is town money. Is that it? Is that what calls them on
No,
board?
No.
Oh,
no, it has nothing to do with the source of the money. It has to do with the fact that we're going to contract with somebody or have a working agreement with somebody.
Okay.
Obviously there's perhaps a little more attention being paid to this than it would other kinds of agreements in the town. And that's the impression I'm getting. It's a little frustrating. We're going to play along with us and do what they recommend. What the lawyer recommends after is basically clauses to a contract that have really little bearing on what Mark Andrews will actually be doing. What he will be doing, we've already reviewed how much we're going to pay him. We've reviewed what's left are the conditions that the town feels should be in the contract. And
To protect the town.
to protect the town and Us as well, I suppose.
Protect from what? Liability or something? Well, I don't know what you mean by.
Yeah,
protect.
that's probably about right. I'm not sure. We don't really discuss these things. You know, they tell us what we should be doing. I have no idea. John, you had your hand up.
I have a few questions. This meeting, can everybody hear me okay? Because I've never.
Yes.
Quiet, actually.
I'm quiet.
Yeah.
Well, I have a cold, so this meeting was supposed to be a continuation of the last meeting, but the agenda has changed. So is this no longer the meeting of the 13th, part 2? Or is this a new meeting?
This is a new meeting.
So we never got to finish the meeting from the 13th. Is that right? We just ended that, and now we're having a completely new meeting with a new agenda. Is that?
What are you calling attention to, John? Is there something on the agenda you're questioning?
Okay. I believe that the appropriate process should be that new items are brought up at the end of a meeting and we vote on them at the next meeting. Okay. So for example, and I don't mean to pick on you, okay, but this happens a lot. For example, this digitization, okay, of the, this is a really simple example, okay. The digitization, you sent an email about the Celebrate Shutesbury pamphlet, okay. And you send out an email to everybody saying, oh, there's this pamphlet, we need to digitize it. I have control of the website, so I can do that, as if to bring it to the meeting and vote on it. But really that's out of order. It shouldn't even be mentioned until new business of the next meeting. And then we have from the meeting until the next meeting to think about it and to work about it, to figure out what we're doing. And then we vote on it at the next meeting. It gets put on the agenda. So for example.
But John, it's not on the agenda for today.
I know, I'm using it as an example.
But you're using it as an example.
For
Excuse
example,
me, you're using it as an example of something getting inserted into an agenda item. It's not even on the agenda.
right, but there
So,
are other examples. Like
okay, well, you're using that as an example and it's
an
not
example,
exactly the
right,
best example.
okay. So appropriately, this doesn't need to be in an email form. It could just be brought up at the next meeting. So for example, I have something I want to bring up as new business for this meeting. And I expect to do that at near the end of the meeting. And then I expect it to be brought up again at the next meeting where we can discuss it, right? So that's sort of the way it works. That way we all have time to think about things. And I just feel like things are going so fast. Like this Mark Andrews, you know, this was never really, this was only presented at the last meeting. So as new business, this contract, it doesn't count that it was sent out as an email. It needs to be brought up at the meeting as new business. And then the commissioners are told to think about it. And then we come back the next meeting and we vote. All right. So that's how I'd like to see things go. Cause I just feel like things are happening so fast that they're definitely out of order.
Well, may I respond to that then?
Hold on.
Oh, certainly.
One last thing was relating to Mark Andrews. How can we vote to hire him when we don't know what we're hiring him to do? In other words, don't we need to have a contract in hand? Don't we need to say, okay, here's a proposed contract? And I feel like we went backwards on this with the previous consultant. We agreed to hire Ms. McLaughlin, and then we were shown a contract that got distributed all over to everybody's lawyers before we even had a chance to comment on the contract, which I felt was out of order. It was backwards. And I think we should postpone any vote on Mark Andrews until after we get a complete understanding of what he's going to do and so forth.
Okay, we do have a listing of what he's going to do, right? He's going to spend.
No, it has to be a contract. The contract says what he's going to do. It doesn't matter what we say he's going to do.
It's in the contract.
Right.
John. The contract The
This is the
contract lists what he's,
contract? This
Yes.
is, this
well, the
is the
scope,
contract.
John, the scope
Yeah.
in the contract describes what he's going to do. What's being worked on right now are the legalese protection mumbo jumbo that goes into contracts, not the substance of what he's going to do or how much he's going to get paid.
Yeah, questions of liability, copyright law, etc.
Well, all of that existed in Ms. McLaughlin's contract, but there were also other things that specified who she was going to work with, how she was going to have her work evaluated, all of these other nitty gritties. Okay. And
Except that in this case, most of the work that Mark Andrews is going to do is it going to be an open meeting with the commission. He's not going to be doing, except for reviewing data on his own, which we're allotting 2 hours for him to do. Everything else is just meeting with us. He's not going to be working on projects that require supervision,
for
as we
example,
had discussed lease.
right, in the Ms. McLaughlin contract, it said specifically that she would work directly with the chair and the secretary. That's what it said. It didn't say she had to attend any meetings. It didn't say she had to answer any of our questions. So the contract, we need to see the contract.
John, of course she was going to attend meetings.
Right, but
That's
it's
part of
not
what we're
in-
hiring her for.
Right, but it's not in the contract. The contract says specifically that she works directly with the chair and the secretary, period. That was it.
Well, that was for working out a
Also-
work that, John, let me clarify. That was in order to work out her time for any independent projects that she was doing outside of open meetings. Otherwise, everything she was going to be doing would be in open meetings, consulting with us as a commission or coming to planning board meetings, things of that ilk, where we don't really need to micromanage it because she's just there.
Right, well, these things need to be specified in some sort of form that we can vote on, because voting for Mark Andrews is great, but then we end up with a contract dispute or a disagreement or a discussion, and so things get thrown upside down. So why can't we wait until next meeting and have a nice contract that we can look at, or an agreement, an understanding or whatever, and then vote on the whole package rather than piecemeal it?
So I have a question.
Now, let me respond to that.
Okay.
If I may. The process here, I think we've been through, we've seen a version of what he will be doing for us. We've seen how much we're going to pay. It's a minor, shall we say, transaction, $1,000, so that he can look at some things, come and talk to us for a while. And we go from there. I thought we had agreed that this was very, very important for the mission of our committee.
So there won't be anything further than this. This is the.
Allow me to finish, please. What is in play at the moment, given the tentative agreement to proceed, I thought, is that this is complicated by another layer of legal scrutiny that has very little to do with what he's actually going to be, he's going to be doing. It has to do with the conditions, copyright law, these kinds of things. These are not necessarily of concern to us. This is not our wheelhouse.
Right.
Just simply what the town expects from, boilerplate contracts, or if they want to raise the bar, which I believe is what's going on here. I'll be quite candid. I think that they're being especially, they're really digging deep into, what is required. Well, we have to abide by that, but these are just procedural things. It really has nothing to do with what Mark Andrews, what we've discussed already. He will be doing these things. We need to get him on board soon. I thought that was the idea. The process here in the town moves on. If we meet in a week or two, we could be behind. That's why we've been, as a working group team here, who is on top of the big picture. We've been monitoring this, and this is, I think, the you know, it's important to get things done as soon as possible. And I'm sorry, it is a little bit, you know, fast and furious at this point, but I think we followed procedure. We showed you the contract. We talked about it in closed session, and the idea was to vote on it today. The contract itself, as far as the details of what Mark will do for us, will not change. As far as how that is conditioned by the town lawyer, that's a whole other thing.
I get it.
As long as there's nothing else added to that contract the town lawyer creates, because last time there were other things that I had issues with.
Like
We didn't
what?
have to discuss them because we threw the contract out, but those things existed, so.
John, can I ask you, because we've had conversations in past meetings where we've talked about having different working groups, and that it, you know, the most efficient process is for people to break into some smaller sub-projects and have some relative autonomy, but report back periodically to the commission for big decisions and for updates. And my understanding is that you would like to be in that role for the digitization and archiving project with Greg. And that when we first discussed these things in November, we talked generally about Henry and I taking some of the leadership role on the planning board consultation project because of our expertise, both in doing research and our knowledge about Native American history and our ability to write complex reports and cope with data. We both have PhDs, we both worked in academia. I've written reports forever, so has Henry. And we would bring whatever written products back to the commission for review, that nothing would get sent out in a public way until the commission reviewed documents. But now if we hire a consultant like Lise, and she was going to be having some work tasks to do outside of open meetings, I don't know how to do that unless somebody is identified as being kind of her time manager. You can't, unless we want to just say, Lise, no one's going to manage your time. We're giving you 100 hours. Come back to us when you feel like coming back to us. And I don't think anybody wanted that to be the arrangement. I think we wanted to tightly manage what her work activities would be and what she would accomplish, so that she didn't put all of her effort into one task to the neglect of other things that were important to the commission. So I'm asking you, John, there's 7 people on the commission. How do we supervise a consultant in a meaningful way in between meetings that would be comfortable with you?
Okay.
Quickly, John, we've got 2 hands waiting. They have not spoken.
Okay, well, I can answer that question now, or I can answer it later.
Well, maybe we should have that, you should say, because you're raising it as a concern.
Go for it.
Okay. I was going to bring this up as new business, right? It's my opinion that the historical commission work has pretty much been, don't want to use take over, but it's just flooded with this particular issue. We never really get to anything else. And the amount of time you can spend in a meeting, it's only 2 hours. There's only so much to cover. So my idea, and don't jump on me, okay, because this is just my idea, is that a subcommittee be created, okay, that Henry and Miriam, you would temporarily step down from your historical commission authority, form this subcommittee. Members from other committees in town would also join the subcommittee. You'd have someone from planning board, you'd have someone from Concom, whatever. And then all the committees get to know what's going on. And because everybody reports back, the final voting authority could still remain in the historical commission, but it just makes more sense to me that way. That you guys, maybe the select board has to establish this subcommittee, okay, like a special subcommittee. And that way, your work can be entirely about this. It doesn't have to be interfered with what about digitization and what about signs and so, and then we can get back to doing just the fun stuff. What, you know, like, I mean, for the last 9 months, when I attended the historical commission meetings, the most important thing on the table was how to get the signpost painted. And now all of a sudden we're talking about lawyers and we're talking about national programs, and it's almost like we've turned into a Bureau of Indian Affairs.
May I respond to that?
So I don't, you know, that's what I think.
And
I
then
think,
me, hopefully.
Yes, Janice, you're first on the list. I just have to respond to that because,
subcommittee.
John, I will remind you that the top item on our agenda is the up and coming and imminent arrival of special permit requests for information from the Historical Commission regarding anything on the landscape. That is our primary focus right now. We've got a team, myself, Miriam already, perhaps Janice, I don't know if she'd be willing to work on it. I think we've
Yeah.
got the experience and we have the motivation to do it. You know, to say that we're going to create this it's an interesting idea. It's not practical. We don't have much to do with the Conservation Commission. The Planning Board doesn't want to hear from us until we have a report. Our job is pretty circumscribed to the Historical Commission. I'm sorry if you think that, I mean, there are other things that we could be doing, of course, and I grant you that. But this is what's at the top of the agenda. This will subside perhaps in short order as
I
a
don't
top
think so.
topic. Well, you know,
This just keeps going on and on and on.
well, this, you know, as chair, I have to also guide us here in terms of what our focus should be. This is my reading of the situation. This is what our focus should be right now. And, you know, as a team, we really need to work together here, you know, as far as moving forward, right? That's what these commissions are for. And so, you know, we'd really like to see ways that we, you know, we need to put this forward as a team. Anyway, we have, let me just get to Janice quickly and then Janice, please.
Oh, good. I mean, it's been about 15 minutes, so I'm not going to rehash all the things I was going to say, but
All right.
first,
No, take your time.
okay. I
Take your-
know. First of all, I think this is our top priority right now because those solar projects are coming in. It's going to be the top priority of the Conservation Commission. It's going to be the top priority of the Planning Board and probably now also Historical Commission, because we all have different review responsibilities and requirements. And we all need to be coordinated, but we each have our own part to play in this. So it's a high priority. And this is what happens on small committees in small towns. You get a big project, never mind 5 big projects, and it takes over your committee meetings for a while. It has to. This is our responsibility and we have a part to play. Second, I think that this Mark Andrews contract, I think maybe this was the third same copy that I downloaded as part of our meeting. So it has been appearing in our emails and we did discuss it in the executive session, and that's part of the reason for the executive session last time. And the understanding was that when we go out of the executive session, we're going to have an opportunity to actually vote so this can proceed. The town needs to know that the commission is behind this before they're willing to probably do any final town council work, which always costs them money, that we are going to go forward with this. And this is a standard way that this works. We say this is what we want, we discuss it, we vote on it, and the town council has to have her say. There's no way around it. That's just the way it works. And then the other thing is that whether we have big projects before us now or not, this concern with the CSLs and recognizing the Native American landscapes is an important part of our authority, jurisdiction, or whatever. And in past, for a long, long time, the Historical Commission understandably has been involved with colonial and post-colonial things. And I love stone walls and foundations and gray stones and everything too. But right now, this one has been underrepresented and it's coming to focus because of other things happening in town. And as we discover how many fabulous sites there are in town, it's a really important part of our responsibility as historical commission members. And if you really don't like talking about it, then maybe you shouldn't be on this committee because it's an important part that we need to play now. That's it.
Before we go to,
Henry, I've had my hand raised.
okay, yeah, we got Mary Lou as well.
Okay.
Yep.
So I have something I want to say. First, in response to some of these comments that John has made, which I believe mostly have been directed towards me, I want to make it clear that I've been extremely transparent with the commission. I send emails to the commission in order to keep you apprised of what I know, what I'm learning, and to help bring our knowledge level, our shared knowledge level along. It is not meant to flood people. If people make a decision that they don't like my style of sharing information, then I will do less of it. And as I mentioned in the last email, I can prepare an information packet that I send out as the secretary once a month, or whenever we're going to meet at the frequency of the meeting. But it just means that you're not going to have any information in the interim. Other commissions do keep each other abreast of activities, and it's not a violation of open meeting law as long as we're not deliberating. So one party working in a subgroup informing the commission on the status of a project is not a violation of open meeting law. It's only a violation if people start responding and then deliberating by email. I'd also like to be clear that while I've been very involved with concerns about ceremonial stone landscapes, that is not to the neglect of other aspects of town history. I'd like to recognize that I spent several hours rewriting a document for the Open Space Planning Committee on town history. I have unilaterally volunteered to my own time to scan a booklet and make it available to the commission. You don't need to vote on it. I own it. I own a scanner. If you don't want a donation from me, that's a decision the commission can make, but I'd just like to acknowledge that it is another example of me working on things that have nothing to do with ceremonial stone landscapes. And I also would like to just point out that I've been involved in recent weeks talking with people from other commissions about the town purchasing mapping software, which could be helpful for ceremonial and stone landscapes, but would also be extremely helpful for the historic trees project, the scenic byways and stone walls project, as well as the historic district signs projects. In fact, the Don Wakalak, the tree warden, is very interested in doing this, but we need to get the mapping software, which he's looking into using his budget to purchase. So again, it's an example of me working outside of this narrow bubble of Native American stuff. And I object to being characterized as being a one-trick pony. I'd like to make a couple of observations. I have heard in recent months, since I've joined the commission, a number of different things voiced by commissions. I have heard people saying, we should have different work groups. I've heard people saying we should be transparent with one another about what we're doing outside of meetings. I've heard people say we should stay in our lanes and let people play to their strengths if they have expertise in a particular area. And then I've also heard people say that we shouldn't be doing that. I've heard people say adamantly we should hire a TIPO, and I've heard people say we cannot hire a TIPO. I've heard people saying we should prioritize preserving ceremonial stone landscapes, and I've heard people saying we shouldn't be doing that. I've heard people saying we need to be mindful about social justice on our commission. What I see is that the Historical Commission has a responsibility. What I've also seen, and I'm going to be clear to John, that at times you hijack the agenda and you're out of order, and you bring items up over and over again after the discussion has moved on. I've seen that I am getting attacked for practically anything I do. If I don't do anything, I'm being attacked. If I do something, I'm being attacked. There are certain commissioners, and I'll say clearly, John, Mary Lou, I don't feel very appreciated by you. I've seen historical commissioners sharing hostile, provocative emails to the commission without any discussion in the meetings. I think that's dishonest when I've had conversations with you face to face and you didn't bring up the concerns. When I have called you on the phone to try to address interpersonal issues and you have assured me everything's okay, I think you're being dishonest if you then share emails that are hostile and attacking with no explanation. As I mentioned, I think I'm doing a lot of work. Not everybody has to do this level of work. I'm retired, I have time on my hands. Other people are busy with their lives and this is a volunteer commission. But when people do work, we should be appreciating it. That should be our culture on this commission. This is what I think. I honestly don't think anything I can do is going to meet John Walter's approval. John, I'll be honest with you. I think that our engaging in performative acts of social justice are meaningless if we don't actually take action. It is useless, if not damaging, for us to profess wokeness and virtue if we're not just to get the approval of other people without actually taking action. And in fact, it's counterproductive. It's worse than doing nothing because it gives the appearance that you're doing something when you're not. What matters is what we do. John and Mary Lou, if you don't like me, you should be honest about it, but then you should resign. There's no room in the town government for people allowing petty differences and dislikes to color our actions. We don't have to like each other, but we have to work with each other in a collegial way. If you don't want to do that, I think you should resign. We have to be united as a commission. There, at least on some levels, there are going to be a lot of pressures on us as we move forward on a number of our projects, not just the Native American stuff. And if we will fail if we can't work in a more functional way. And that's what I have to say.
Okay, I would like to speak. Miriam, you owe me an apology for calling me dishonest. That's all I have to say. I have no intention to resign. I have no idea completely what you're speaking about. But for you to turn around and do something like this in a public forum and call me dishonest deserves an apology. That's all I want to say.
Please,
Thank you.
let's not
Thank
get
you,
into this.
Excuse me. If that was allowed, if you allow somebody to say that in a public forum, then you need to hear from the person who she has just publicly shamed. And I don't appreciate it. I have no intention to resign. I feel that's I feel like whatever is going on in Miriam's head is perhaps the end result would be for me to resign, which I have no intention. But to say that, to call me dishonest is not okay. My hands are shaking. I'm going to go drink coffee, and I thank you all for your time.
Well, John, I think we've spent enough time on this. It's been like 40 minutes discussing this. I think we should move on with our business. I will also.
I'd like to just say all I did was suggest that we have a subcommittee. I think having a subcommittee would streamline all of our efforts.
I think we have one, John.
Well, no, it's not really a subcommittee. It's just you and Miriam working together.
No, Miriam, myself, and Janice are working.
Right, and Janice. And like I said, a subcommittee would include people from other committees. And I think that would be a really, really powerful move.
That's your opinion. I disagree with it.
So I take objection to Miriam's thoughts. I think she's wrong. And I believe I deserve an apology as well.
Well, this is not a space. Miriam has been the object of quite a bit of very ambivalent invective in recent weeks.
Could you say that in simple English, Henry?
Well, let me try. Miriam has been personally attacked in recent weeks, and this is very, very, very tragic. I think, you know.
To project that on me is
wait. I'm not projecting that on you at all.
No, I'm saying Miriam.
But the reality is that there have been these attacks on Miriam. this is not acceptable. I don't care who it is. I'm not saying you, anybody on this commission. I'm just saying that kind of thing gets into our commission, should not be in our commission, should not be part of our universe. Yeah.
Who is disagreeing with that comment?
Well,
I don't disagree
the
with
point
that
is,
comment.
Miriam has been under a lot of pressure here publicly. And, this is something to be acknowledged. She's been dedicating a lot of time to this. I've been supporting her. We've been working together, as has Janice, on this. And I'll tell you something. This has become a full-time job for me. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time. I have a full-time gig and more. So let's just say that we need to really be clear. Our commission has a mission. We have a mission. Our mission primarily is to work together on the projects that I deem to be important and that we, by consensus, take on. Let's not quibble. Let's not be fighting over things. Let's not perceive or speculate about ulterior intentions here, right? There's no hidden agenda here. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to do the best for preserving these landscapes. What is the best way to go? Well, yeah, they're competing versions of that, apparently. This is what's going on, right? There are different versions. There's a version that says, there's only one person out there somewhere who has the authority to do this. Another version says, the proven version is that we go and deal with TIPOs, the official tribes. And that's what we've chosen to do. If you find that unacceptable, then I think there's a problem with you working on this particular project, because you're always.
To whom are you addressing, Henry? To whom are you addressing? I would like to be part of.
You and John.
No, sir. No, sir.
Seem to disagree that this strategy is the way to go.
No, sir. You're making an assumption that's
Okay.
not.
Why don't you tell us then what you.
May I be part of your 3-person committee going forward? I feel that Rolf, okay, however it is being perceived, the content of his emails are being projected on me through Miriam. Miriam, you called me dishonest. You don't do that to people. You did
share that email from Rolf, did you not?
It was suggested to me that it go out.
Who suggested it to you?
Well, that's between me and the suggester.
Well, we'll have to speculate about that then. Unless it was.
And I do take responsibility, and I do apologize. I thought that all that information was, I had no idea about the logistics, about the 3 people on the select board being in charge of what we can and cannot read, or I did not realize that they are censors. I never knew that. They are censors. They hold the authority, I don't know by who, to censor information that comes to our town. I don't know who gave them that authority, I knew nothing about that. So Miriam, if that's what you're addressing, I do apologize for that.
Can I respond, please?
Sure.
Sure.
So Mary Lou, thank you for the apology. Perhaps my use of the word dishonest was inappropriate. So, and I apologize for that.
Thank you.
What I want to say, however, is that the rules of order for parliamentary process forbid ad hominem attacks in town government. Ad hominem attacks are attacks on people's motives and personality and character. if you are circulating social media posts, emails from other people that include ad hominem attacks, and you don't qualify why you're doing so or how you interpret or regard it, then it is really essentially your opinion that you're expressing. If it
Okay.
isn't your opinion, then you need to qualify it and explain why you're doing it. For example, if you said, Miriam, I'm sending you this email because somebody's saying something about you and I think you should know about it. Okay, that's not you committing an ad hominem attack. If you just, retweet, I'm using the language of Twitter, but if you repost something that is an ad hominem attack without any qualification, it is as if you're making an ad hominem attack. And
Okay.
that's where my concern is, because if you have those concerns, then I think there's a problem in terms of participating in town government. I don't think there's room in town government for people to make personal attacks on other officials in town
Of
government.
course.
And we don't
course.
have to like each other. Maybe we all don't like each other. I don't know. We have to respect each other. We have to give each other space to exercise each other, for each of us to exercise our own discretion and judgment. And we have to be impartial. If we cannot allow our personal dislikes to allow other commissioners to function, then we have no place in town government. And this is my concern.
All right.
And if you guys feel like you can keep your personal dislikes of me in check, great. Then we can work together, because I can work with anybody.
But you're making an assumption, Miriam. You're making an assumption.
I am making the assumption,
If
I am sharing my personal perception of
uh,
not feeling liked.
mm,
Okay, and I that is my personal perception. I have felt attacked. It has been hurtful. It has felt unprofessional and out of line for town officials. And it has been hurtful.
and I
That's
apologize.
not an assumption. That is my feelings. I have a right to my
Very
feelings.
good. So had I run that by you, it wouldn't be an ad hominem attack? If I had said, look, Miriam, this came out, then it would not have been an ad hum, whatever that is.
If you had sent me personally an email, not CCing a bunch of other people, then it wouldn't. And I want to just say that
Okay.
CCing people in emails can be an act of aggression. I've worked in a lot of organizations and I'm pretty familiar with email culture. And there's some do's and don'ts in organizations. And, when you're going to CC other people, you have to think about, what am I communicating by this? Am I just sharing information I think a larger group of people need to know about? Or am I trying to shame somebody and embarrass them in some way? So I think
Very
that,
good.
that's an important piece of email culture in organizations, healthy organizations.
Very good.
Okay, we have to get back to business here.
One more thing. Henry, you pointed out rightly how you dislike to see people being criticized. While pointing that at me, which I don't understand why. Well, Miriam mentioned me several times in an attack just recently in the same meeting. So who's criticizing who? I mean, who's taking down who? I'm not taking anyone down, but I've been taken down. And I think it's because I'd like to see things go a little bit more orderly here. That's all.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. And, sometimes things tend to get, I don't know how much experience you've had on town commissions, John, but there are times when people are overwhelmed and things move very quickly. That's just part of the business of doing this kind of work.
Right, but to take me down several times in an open meeting, I think is incorrect.
Well,
And
I'm not sure.
it doesn't belong.
I'm not
Right,
sure what
it
you're
doesn't
referring
belong.
to, and there is no, you have
Miriam
no,
just mentioned me like 5 times saying, this you did wrong and this you did. And oh, by the way, I'm speaking to you, John Walter, about this criticism and about
Well,
that criticism. And it's like, how can you expect me to want to go along with you
Well, I
guys
think Miriam was doing
criticizing me openly in a meeting?
constructive
go.
criticism. There's a difference between a personal attack and constructive criticism. Joan, I think that let's be clear about that.
Huh?
If we cannot be self-critical and constructively critical of one another, this is part of getting along. Yes, let's all just get along, right? It's a stressful thing here, but I think this should not be the primary focus of our meetings. We got business to take care of, and we can't keep dragging our feet on this. We've got to move forward. Unless there are any other thoughts, I know some of you. Shall we talk about the contract with Mr. Andrews? And I was trying to find a copy of that to share.
And did you actually make a motion on this, Henry?
No.
Oh, okay, you were asking for a motion.
Well, I thought I did earlier, but
Yeah, I thought so.
It wasn't framed really, and we didn't
Okay.
get seconded.
Yeah, it didn't.
I move that we agree that the Historical Commission agrees, let me write this down, agrees to hire Mark Andrews for 6 hours of educational activities, to include 2 hours of reviewing documents and 4 hours of meeting with us in order to talk about ceremonial stone landscape preservation, with the funds to be drawn from our donation account. The details of the contract should be decided later. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Janice.
yeah, and of course, those legal details are conditions that have very little relation to what he's actually going to be doing, right? There are other conditions that have to be worked out with the town. So we have a second. Let's move to a vote. Go around the room and I'll name them. If you will record them, please, Madam Secretary. Mary Lou,
Yes.
Janice Stone,
Yes.
John Walter,
I abstain.
Greg Colton,
Yes.
Henry Geddes, yes. Miriam Defan.
Yes.
All right, so the motion passes. Okay, moving right along. Let me just take a moment to share with you our agenda.
The next item was discussion of the work plan.
Yeah, here we go. So you can see it. Can you all see that?
I can.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
Fun of Zoom.
Okay, we got this done. Discussion work plan with various historical commission projects, cultural resource areas.
Yeah, that was my agenda item.
Okay, do you want to?
What I would like to propose, I sent people out a work plan of sorts for the planning board response document. But I'd like to suggest that people working on other projects put together a work plan to present to the commission, so that we can be walking and chewing gum at the same time. And we've mentioned a number of projects, including digitization, that we need to have a plan. I know that we can't go in and do an inventory of the closet, but perhaps there's some other steps that could be, some work that could be done in the next few months. And similarly for stone walls and historic trees and the historic signage. So I'm just wondering about whether people who are kind of taking the leadership on these different projects could put together work plans.
Very good. Could you tell me what you mean by inventory of the closet?
Greg and John wanted to go and take a look at the storage closet of the Historical Commission and Old Town Hall, and cannot do that until Old Town Hall reopens, because all the town buildings are closed because of the pandemic.
Okay, so could you put me on that list? I'm very interested in seeing that as well.
Well, so John and Greg were kind of taking leadership of that as a
Oh, I see.
subgroup.
You mean to put all that paper stuff on computer discs or something, or digitize it? That's what you
Yeah,
mean?
that's me. Yeah, the
Yeah,
scanning and storage and all that.
okay.
But yeah, so that I just would like to suggest that perhaps, you know, in order to keep track of who's doing what and where are we in the progression of these projects, that maybe people volunteer to put together work plans.
Very good.
So Mary Lou, you want to be on that sort of subgroup with?
No,
John?
no, Janice. No,
Okay.
I just want to go into town hall and
Yeah.
look at what everybody is talking about, because I find it fascinating. You know, I've been in there once during the Celebrate Shutesbury with my granddaughter, and it's quite, yeah, it's really a building.
Mhm. Well, I'd be willing to work with John and Greg if they feel like they need anyone else to help with it. You know, it's up to you guys. I know there isn't too much you can do, but maybe some brainstorming or something, and looking at what we had done originally some time ago, and then sort of everything subsided, was to look at other historical commission websites and to write down some good examples that other commissioners can look at, that you see, you like their setup, you like sort of the type of material that they have, to give us some ideas on how what's being put online and how it's presented. It's my suggestion. So I'd help with something like that if you guys want.
Very good. What happened to Craig Pepin and his work? Wasn't he doing that already?
He was digitizing tapes and putting them onto flash drives, and those are in the storage closet.
Oh,
So that's been done, and those are in the town hall.
okay. So is that less personal property? And I would like to hear those tapes.
Can I comment? Can I comment here?
Yeah.
So those are town property now. Or Historical Commission property. And until we reopen Old Town Hall, those things are just going to have to be unavailable to us. I also just wanted to share that Leslie Bracebridge forwarded to me scanned copies of the Historical Commission bylaws, which I didn't know we had any bylaws, but in fact we do. I'm planning on the images aren't very clear. I'm going to retype them and send them out to you guys, but there is a policy around the storage closet that basically includes you can't take things out of Old Town Hall or out of the storage closet. That was a decision that was made a long time ago. That's not a lending library.
Right.
So
Right.
I will send that. I'm just summarizing it, but I will send it
Sure.
to you guys.
I'm talking about just being able to get in there and look at stuff.
Yeah, we can't do that yet.
Right, because of COVID, but okay, thank you.
Greg,
Any more discussion on that?
I just had a question for Greg. Greg, did you help finalize some of those recordings? Did you?
No, I
haven't done that.
No, in fact, it's. I think Craig might have handled them all. I know there was talk of me doing that, but hasn't gone any farther than that at this point.
Okay, all right. I was just checking.
But I do think that Miriam's suggestion that each project have a written plan and it should be updated as we do things is a good idea, because it's, in fact, well, that's what we're in. Both John and I and Miriam and I will definitely do that. We've been talking, so we just putting it into a plan so that everyone else can see it. It's a good step.
Okay. Moving right along, all boards meeting January 19th. I believe it's been changed. Is that the new date for it?
Yeah, it's been rescheduled the 20th for reasons unknown.
So it should be on the 20th, yes?
Yes.
It's on the 20th.
Okay.
And who will go to that meeting? You, Henry,
Yes,
and John?
yes, I will be there.
And John?
Well,
Anyone who wants to.
I
can.
wasn't planning on going, but
yeah, anyone who wants to, I suppose, but I will
Sounds-
be representing the committee. Yes.
Usually one person acts and gives a very short, like maybe 3-minute summary of what their commission or committee or whatever has been working on for the year. At least that's the way it used to be. Longer than that, it gets really long, but it is nice to be able to hear what other people are doing. In this case with Zoom, it's easy for anyone who wants to attend, but there's one designated person to provide a little summary for the group.
And that is what I was trying to figure out who that would be.
It's usually the chair.
The chair. Okay, land acknowledgement and the Historic Commission mission statement.
That I have been looking at websites for other historical commissions, and many of them have a little bit more content about what the mission of the commission is for the general public. So I basically took the language from several other commissions in Massachusetts and kind of wrote up a draft. And then I thought about as an extra piece is whether or not we want to have a land acknowledgement. And I think that may be part of a larger discussion, but about what land acknowledgement is and how is it used by towns that are beginning to do it and organizations. We don't have time for that right now. So perhaps, you know, the narrow discussion about the HC mission statement, whether we want that up on the website would be appropriate.
Yeah, this is something for future discussion, I think.
Want to table it?
No, I think it's certainly happening around the region. I was talking to the tribal liaison for UMass Amherst, and they're going through a land acknowledgement process there. Officially, the university is going to acknowledge, right, the Native people as stewards of the land, and hopefully there'll be some further issues of social justice related to Native people that will come out of it.
So can we maybe discuss, I mean, I admit I didn't look at stuff until today. Can we have more of a chance to read over these two and discuss it at our next meeting? I think it's good to have a draft, but I need to look at it. And I would like to just look at some of those other websites to see how other people are handling it too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I agree.
Any other thoughts on that? Apparently, this is a new phenomenon. Could you give a context for this land acknowledgement? How does that, how has that initiative come forward?
Well, I may not be the best person to explain it, but my understanding is that as a product of dialogues around social justice and acknowledging the rights of Indigenous people, organizations have come to understand, and I mean organizations, I mean governments and universities and nonprofits, for example, have come to recognize that they have a responsibility to acknowledge that the land that they are using and live upon belonged to Indigenous peoples, and that we are benefiting from that land, and to honor Indigenous peoples, but also acknowledge the land theft and displacement and genocide that resulted in our having the ability to benefit from this land. You know, we can talk about how wonderful it is to live in Shutesbury, but, you know, behind all of this is the acknowledgement that 300 years ago, people died so that this land would come into ownership by immigrants.
European
So,
immigrants, yeah, primarily. Northern European. Okay.
Got a question, brief question.
Greg, yes.
Miriam, would it be true to say that this land acknowledgement document, we're not breaking any new ground there, we're actually catching up with
we're catching up.
other governmental, so it's not like, you know, this always, land acknowledgement always sparks fear about private property.
Yeah.
But, so we're not breaking any new ground, this is really just considering and getting in line with what other people have
Right.
done.
It's not, it's a symbolic gesture for a large part, but you know, symbolic gestures that are followed up with real tangible actions are important. And sometimes you have to sort of speak the truth first before change can happen. So,
And Mary
So
Lou,
yeah, my hand is up. This
Yeah.
land acknowledgement, is it, to me, it just seems like a bunch of hodgepodge, if you may. Number one. Number two, there's a land back phenomenon, movement that is occurring that I would be more interested in our commission becoming a part of. Thank you. Yes, they to what are we acknowledging? Are we acknowledging the genocide? Are we acknowledging we killed them all? They know that. What?
who knows that?
Say what?
Who
The
knows?
people's families who survive. They know their families were wiped out. So we, as the upper people, are now acknowledging.
We're acknowledging it for the general population, Mary
Mm.
Lou. It's for the European descendants who have yet to acknowledge, in this case,
Yeah,
all of
Henry.
these things.
I don't think they ever will. I
Well,
think they're quite
hey,
comfortable in
Henry,
their
can I
seat.
think
Can I-
that way,
can I
then
make a
we're never
comment?
going to do anything, you know?
could I make a comment?
Yes.
So I think that the idea of land acknowledgement comes from peace and reconciliation activities between in various domains. That when there has been reparations commissions or peace and reconciliation activities, there was a peace and reconciliation activity in Turner's Falls at the Turner's Falls ceremonial site between tribes and town and local governments, when Nolambika was able to protect that project around the airport. But part of that reconciliation process is acknowledging the truth, and the truth that has been hidden from history and hidden from websites and hidden from towns' self-narratives. So it's an attempt to correct that piece of it.
In other words, it's an attempt to change the narrative. That is to say, the stories that people imagine about the past, really the history, which has been largely
I want to raise my hand.
Yes, I guess I'm finished. Go ahead. Yes, Mary Lou, is that a hand? Oh, sorry, Janice.
Well, it was Mary Lou. Hers, I just put mine up now.
Okay,
So
yeah, Mary Lou, did you have your hand raised?
Yes. I notice we're not having public comments right now, but of this subject, my granddaughter is here. She is a university alumna, and
I'm a Black woman who also has Native heritage, and I just really think that for the commission to want to, get on trend and have land acknowledgements is a really nice thing for you guys to want to do. But unless you're really backing this up with action, and the action that the Native people right now are really requesting is for you support in their land back movement. Like, I really have my own ideas about even like getting these little native statues and stone structures recognized, because they aren't asking for it. It really feels like this is to make you guys feel good about the work that you're doing.
Could you give me your name for the minutes, please?
Of course, yeah. My name is Kayana Farrow.
Okay. How do you spell your first name?
Kayana. I actually had Henry in a class. Hi,
She
Henry.
was my student.
To see you again.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's nice to hear you guys having these hard conversations. I just wanted to
It's tough.
support. Yeah, exactly. And I definitely have a different view of, activism or our right as, organizers. So
we're just trying to confront immediate things that come, our way. And
I definitely like good first steps. It's just, I think that, in the communities of Indigenous organizers I've been in, they really feel like land acknowledgements do nothing except make these institutions feel better.
well, reparation.
Could I just respond to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I appreciate that.
Actually, no, wait. Janice had her hand up before.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to appreciate what Kayana said, and I am totally in agreement that performative acts of activism are dangerous and useless, which is kind of what I was saying before, and that doing a land acknowledgement should probably be part of a larger discussion, but it needs to be coupled with action. So I do agree with that. And in terms of what Native groups are asking for, I think that Indigenous people are looking for a lot of things, but I do want to call attention to the fact that the United Tribes, southern and eastern tribes, which is the coalition of all of the Eastern Seaboard tribal organizations, have had multiple resolutions supporting the protection of ceremonial stone landscapes and urging its tribal members to engage with local governments in order to protect them. And there have been multiple, I think there's maybe 4 different resolutions regarding this over about a 15-year period. So there are tribes that do want to do this and are asking for it.
And okay, Jonas, you had your hand up, and then
I don't remember what it was anymore,
okay,
so you can pass me by.
So we need to write these things down.
really, Mary Lou, back to you. How do you do?
I actually mean to put my hand down. Thank you.
Oh, all right.
I was raising it for the opportunity for Kayana to hear from our youth. Thank you.
Great to hear from Kayana. And I agree with her completely. It's there's been a movement for reparations for Black people in this country, and obviously has not, at least it's part of the conversation now. At least it's part of the story that we can discuss. How practical, how do you get there is another question.
And Kayana is also of Native American heritage.
Yep.
Just to put that out there. Thank you again. Okay.
Right. Okay. We got update on the signs.
Oh, yes. All right.
Very good.
So I have been touring surrounding towns. My husband is the driver, so I'm not driving with my camera on top of the steering wheel. And photographing these signs. I think they're beautiful. I think they're awesome. Every then and again, when traffic allows, I get out and I read them. And now Athol is talking about, they have a whole historic trail, and they made a big book, and I sent it, a booklet, pamphlet. I sent it around to, I think, Greg and John. I don't know if you all have it. On their historic trail, there's a house, and I for those who don't know, I photographed doors that was part of the Underground Railroad, which I found very exciting. But the sign didn't mention one name of a slave. It only mentioned the man whose house it was, so there goes to the whiteness of that of that posting. At any rate, there were a couple of more signs in Athol where Athol used its Native American name. So I looked up Shutesbury, and Shutesbury has two Native American names, one for the south end and one for the north end. And when we get the Shutesbury Center sign up, that I want to go on
Mary Lou,
our-
where are those names from? Where did they come from?
Wikipedia.
Um, And-
They're not listed. That's another thing I noticed. Then I went on the historic commission site and compared what says in Wikipedia and what's written. I don't know who put it on. What's written was written by a white gentleman about Shutesbury, you know, and it said it was a road town in 1735, then got incorporated as town in 1761, named after the governor, who's another white man, Governor Shutes, who
No, I was,
actually
Mary Lou, I was
came
asking
from
where
England.
where you got the information about the Native American names for Shutesbury.
Wikipedia. I'll send it to you. It's all in
Ah,
my
Okay,
emails.
so
It
it's
has
on,
two different names. The South End, which includes parts of, I think even Belchertown, and then the North End, which included parts of Leverett. I'm sorry, that pile of notes is not in front of me right now.
well, it's good to know. I'll look.
Yeah, what else? I think I got a little ahead of myself because I automatically thought the CPC would give us money to put up signs. And so I was talking to sign people, you know, the what do you call companies who make signs. So I got a little ahead of that. John and Greg have like really beautiful ideas on how to get our community, you know, how to get people involved, like maybe make a sign drawing, not contest. Well, if it was gonna, I don't know, I don't like contests.
A request for input.
Say what?
A request for input, if you have any.
Yes. Yes, and go through either the library or the elementary school. I have no, you know, no problem speaking with the principal and seeing if they would do something like that with the students there, that would in turn get the parents, you know, excited about this happening. Yeah.
Janice, you had Jonathan and Greg.
Okay, I had a quick question. Or suggestion that maybe Mary Lou can check with Rolf to see if he agrees on those names, because sometimes Wikipedia may be too general. I don't know. I have no way, one way or the other, but I figured since
Yeah.
he's something of an expert in Shutesbury, it'd be worth checking in with him to see if he thinks those names are correct. I don't know.
Yes, thank you. I think
Yeah.
I've seen him use those names.
Okay, good.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree. Greg.
I think that this is an excellent, both this and the digitization projects are excellent examples of we need to have a plan, visual, preferably that other members of the commission can see and that we can see, because it's frankly the sign project is rather large, as is the digitization project, and you know, I'm still working for myself, and so things get slipped my mind about commission things. So there, I'm going to ask the town. There are a couple of websites where it's basically a shared whiteboard, and we can have a shared whiteboard for each of these projects. They'd be public. So that there's no question of just of open meeting violations. But I'll check with the town, with Grace and with Becky, if we're allowed to use something like that, because I've found in, you know, business projects them very helpful to have that shared whiteboard. We can see it, you can make notes on it, you can tick things off when they're done, etc. Because if there's no central shared sort of structure, plan, to-do list, I find it rather hard to keep track of everything. So I'll ask the town if that's doable.
Great.
So it's sort of like a Google Docs, but
It
a whiteboard.
is, but it's,
public.
yeah, you could make it public. Yes, you can make it private, or make it public.
I think you can do that with Google Docs. You can
Mhm.
put a link on the website or something.
Hmm.
But yeah.
May I say one more thing?
Yes, Mary Lou.
Yeah, I was talking a little bit with Leslie through emails, and she never heard of that M.A. Chris site, where I got, there's 183 historical listings on that site. Okay, so
Yeah.
Leslie never heard of it. I was surprised. There
Right.
are 6, and they list them A, B, C, D, E, F. That I'm figuring those are historic districts. And within that, I took out 3. One is Shutesbury Center that covers 97.78 acres. The other was Pratt Corner Road Farms that covers 165.5 acres. And then the third was Lake Wyola, not the lake, but it's Locke's Village that covers 300 acres, not including the pond. So, so I've been doing a lot of things, and I like the idea of a plan. I don't know if these specifics would be included in the plan, but I think, Greg, you sent me something like that a while ago.
We did talk
like-
about it. Yes.
Yes, kind of like an outline. That's
Right.
very helpful.
Miriam.
Yeah, Mary Lou, just so you know where it comes from, maybe Leslie didn't understand this. The Mass Historical Commission did a historical resources inventory for the town. And I'm thinking maybe, I can't remember the date of when they did it. I think they did it around 2000. And rather than having the document on their website, which they don't have available, is they took all the data from the survey and they put it into Macris.
Okay.
So that is
Yeah,
the
that
result
makes
of that
sense.
inventory that was done like around 2000.
Yes, I saw dates of 2002, 2003, and some of the
Right. So they went
material.
through,
Yeah.
house by house, like
Yes,
when was the house built? Is it eligible on the National Register of Historic Places? Is it owned? Who owns it? Is it private or public? They went through all that. And so that's where you're seeing all that come up.
yes, it's pretty exciting.
Yes, very comprehensive. There's a lot of information.
I don't know if we could get all 183 sites marked or not, but that'd be interesting.
Okey-dokey. Approving minutes for 9/10/20. That's seems like such a long time ago.
Well,
I know.
you can't do it because Karen's not here.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we just, it's just so, can we just, like, we've already passed this over as, they were going to be unapproved minutes. Can we just leave it at that? Or is there, Janice, do you feel like those minutes are really important and need to get approved?
I would just like to try to get them approved as long as we have 4 people that were at that meeting so that conceivably we could. I just don't like leaving them.
So who would be
Unfinished.
4 current commissioners who could approve them?
Me,
was-
Karen, Mary Lou, and Henry, I think it is. I wrote it down on one of the things. I think that's who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, without Karen, I don't
Yeah.
think,
We definitely need all 4.
Just want to keep, do you just want to keep forwarding it on to future agendas and someday we'll approve them? Is that what you want to do?
Possible, it would be good. I would just like to finalize them rather than leave them hanging as unfinished,
Okay.
since we do conceivably have 4 people to be able to approve them.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So we're not going to do this. We have other minutes to approve as well, which we'll do at the next meeting, perhaps.
Yeah.
Newsletter discussion. Newsletter is about to come out. We need to, if we want to submit anything to the newsletter, I believe the date is
January 29th.
29th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Who brought this up, put this on the agenda? Was it you, Miriam?
Somebody else may have wanted it.
Yeah.
Maybe I had asked about it at one point, just
Okay,
to find
yeah.
out if there was anything that the commission wanted to put on. I don't know one way or the other, but I just thought
Yeah.
I'd mention it.
There might be an opportunity to, put out some description of what we're doing for the general public, yes?
I think that's a good idea.
Mhm. Sort of an update.
Yeah, and it's always good, I'm a song and dance man, so it's always good to communicate things to the public. That way they kind of,
Right.
it doesn't take them by surprise. Oh my God, they're doing, so at least some people have read something about what we're doing. And then of course the question here is to do it in such a manner that we don't curry to any misperception or misinterpretation of what we're doing. So it's a very tricky thing to try and do. I'd be happy to work on it. I think I've looked at perhaps some text that might work, and we can talk about it. I don't know if we have the time though at this point, given the deadline. 29th is what? Less than 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
We just want one paragraph,
So maybe what we could do is come up with some text. I'd be happy to work on it. Miriam, I know, has been certainly working hard on this, doing descriptions of what we're doing. And I don't know, anyone else would like to contribute? Anyway, we could come up with a text, share it with you, and see what you think.
Sure.
Good
now,
idea. Oh,
sorry.
Yeah. Let's see, competing. I'm not sure.
So what can happen, Henry, is if you write up a draft and you circulate to the commission, you can go ahead and finalize it. People can email you separately with revisions or suggestions.
Okay.
But maybe we should have a motion to have you do that.
All right. I'll be happy to do that.
Hold on. Doesn't Mary Lou have something for the newsletter?
yes. Which one do you mean? My doors or the
Signs.
Well, there was going to be a newsletter piece for the signs.
Yes.
In which case, Mary Lou, maybe you should circulate that, and we can respond individually too, if necessary.
So we're going to have two. Are we going to have two different entries? One for Mary Lou, or it's all for the commission?
All
It's
for the
all for the
commission.
commission. And I'll attach it to Henry. Once I see what Henry is writing, I will attach a couple of statements to that. Okay?
We had the idea that we would have a sample sketch of a sign.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Greg, is
Greg.
that something you could work on maybe?
In fact, I'm just about to email you something. It's not really a sign. It's maybe just a graphic that could go with the article in the newsletter.
There you
Very
go.
good.
Is it available? Can you share it now?
I've just emailed it to everybody. I had it
Oh,
really
Good, thank you.
and it's not a design for a sign. I did intend to do that, but I sat down to it. It's a big project, just the design part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of decisions to be made, but this at least will put it with the article in the newsletter, and it should certainly communicate what we intend to do, well, along with the
good.
words that Mary Lou writes.
So my question,
Oh, that's beautiful.
yeah.
It's not really a design yet, but I think it'll be useful.
I'm not sure the words "your input here" belong on a public sign.
No.
Ah,
We don't want them to oh my gosh. Okay, I'll stop.
John was making a joke there.
No.
Maybe yeah, it should be a little different.
I just wonder whether
It looks great. Looks
whether-
great though.
whether we need to have an actual meeting if we're discussing the language for the newsletter. I just don't want to get into trouble. I know it's be easier not to have to, and if we don't have to, that would be fine. But can Henry or Miriam just check with, I guess, town clerk to make sure it's okay? Because sometimes what they say is that even if you all submit comments separately, if there's any then cross communication, it's still an open meeting law violation. So just to get it from Grace for sure, how much we can do without a meeting would be fine. You know, I've had enough Zoom meetings this week, but just to make sure we can do it, or know that we need to hold a brief meeting to just approve it, something along that line.
Oh,
You think we need to vote?
I think we can do it if we, as long as there's no cross communication, nobody responds to the group. If people just communicate with Henry separately with their input.
Or me
Yeah.
separately regarding the sign, the little illustration.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully,
So
this-
should we have a motion for Henry to draft this with the input from others, including Mary Lou?
Hold on, would it be possible to use like a Google Doc for this?
No, that would be cross communication.
That would be no good.
yeah, it has to be to one person. That would be me. So send me stuff.
Yeah.
And then we will then meet, perhaps to. Well, I'll find out if we need to meet.
Well,
Yeah.
we're probably
yep. Before the 29th, I don't think that would hurt.
Yeah.
So we should also figure out when we're going to meet to finalize contracts and agreements and everything.
Oh.
I sent
Okay.
everybody a timeline for the planning board projects. The first application is going to be submitted by the end of this month. And then we have 35 days. So in the best of all worlds, that would be the end of February, beginning of March. 35 days, if let's say they submit it at the very end of January, but if they send it next week, then we're talking about maybe the end of February that we would have to have our written report submitted. So my thought was that we should try to meet before the end of January to review everything.
Mhm.
And the
Which of
status and
these things
approve.
need to be voted on?
Well, right now, just maybe a motion for who's going to be putting together the newsletter paragraph. And then we just have to set another meeting. And
I'm
we
sorry,
never
what I
did-
meant was this work plan that you were referring to. Is that what you were referring to, the work plan, right? With the tasks for the,
Well, we certainly can have, if there's time, we can discuss that now.
okay, I'm
You have
sorry, I
to-
thought you were discussing that.
Well, I was just calling attention to it for the purposes of scheduling a meeting.
I don't understand.
Well, did everybody get a chance to look at the work plan?
Yep.
Just go around the room here. Did folks
Um,
check it out? Anyway, I'm sharing it with you right now. Let me share it.
Yeah, so my question was, these tasks, which ones need to be voted on?
Well, I would say that, I kind of highlight the things that are the responsibility for the historical commission, John. So some of them will involve votes, some of them will just involve that we have to put them on our agenda and discuss them. So for example, I can walk you through this. Reviewing the applications and notification letters, as soon as those are received, I'll send those all to the commissioners, but we'll have to discuss it in an open meeting. I am checking the mailbox daily. We need to establish a formal relationship with a TIPO, which is one of our priorities for this work plan. So what I'm saying is that in order to be timely, we should finalize this by the end of January, so that the TIPO has an opportunity to review data, and then we can have an open meeting with the TIPO to discuss his opinion. Same thing with Lise McLaughlin. And then I have here exploring a relationship with Nipmuc Nation. If I don't hear back from them, I'll follow up with another email by the end of January. I don't want to hound them. It's their choice whether they want to be involved, but I will send a polite follow-up in case they forgot to get back to us. Then the commission needs to meet with Mark and Lise to review the data and get a preliminary opinion from the TIPO. And that probably should happen by no later than February 15th. so that there's time to write it up and insert it into a report. If we want to get any additional comments from other researchers, we need that as soon as possible. Definitely, we would need it by the 15th of February for at least the first application. There'll be more applications submitted later, but the first one's going to get submitted in the next 2 weeks. That one is for the Pratt Corner East, which is right next to the existing Wheelock tract off Pratt Corner Road. Then we need to we need to decide what our recommendations are. After the TIPO has made, and researchers have given us their input, we as a commission have to decide, well, what are our recommendations? And we would need to vote on that. So that's a place now where I would think the Historical Commission would have to make some votes about what recommendations. Maybe Henry and I would draft some recommendations based on the discussion, and then the commission would vote on them. Then there's the report production, which is already underway, with a preliminary draft ready for the commissioners to view, hopefully by the middle of February, maybe shortly right after the discussion with the TIPO, that we would be able to come up with a draft with everything, maybe minus the recommendations, because the commission has to vote on those. So that report, I've got about 8 pages written. Mostly right now, I'm just organizing references and writing background sections that, you know, frame the concerns, because based on the discussions of the planning board last time we permitted a solar project, it was clear to me what they don't understand about the National Historic Preservation Act and ceremonial stone landscapes. So providing context for them. Then we have to present the report to the planning board and the developer in an open meeting, probably in a public hearing process that would be scheduled by the, we would send it to the planning board and the developer, but it would be presented at a date to be determined by the planning board.
There you go.
Sounds good.
So, I mean, I thought this through. These are the steps. I find it very useful when I'm thinking about project management, is to have due dates to keep the project going,
Yep.
to have an idea of where we're,
Sure.
when we're trying, some benchmarks of when we want to get some things accomplished. And realistically, this is kind of what I would think needs to happen.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So this is the first time I'm seeing this. I'm sorry. I don't know if you
Oh.
sent it out. I don't
I
know if.
did.
It was sent out as part of a
I
packet.
did send it out.
Ah, okay. So, yeah.
I forwarded you that email, Mary Lou, just before the meeting when I saw your question. And
You
it had
did?
been, yeah, it had been sent out to us on Thursday, the whole packet of stuff.
Okay, I just don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening, if it's my desktop to the fault, or if it's my computer illiteracy, or the fact I don't have a printer, and so then I can't copy this, because I'm a words on the page person. I you know what I'm saying? So this, not that it's not a good thing, but it's the first time I saw it.
Actually, likewise, and the reason I didn't see it was
Oh.
because I didn't know. Reason I didn't see it because I didn't scroll down the page, the email far enough, and now I see it.
Oh,
I think I gave you guys in the body of the email list of all the documents I was attaching.
Yeah.
Right.
oh,
So
Well,
Mary Lou,
yeah.
is there one email that's better to use than the other? I know at one point, one of them was not working. Are we using the right one for you?
yes, you're using the right one for me, Janice.
good.
What I'm saying, you know what I'm saying is, when I talk on an email, like if I respond to, say, Henry or anybody on my email,
Yeah.
my whatever is attached, it disappears. And this has been happening to me. I thought it was just
Ah,
the iPhone.
Yeah.
Gotta fix that, Mary Lou. Gotta fix that. Yeah.
Yes, I do, but
Hmm.
how? I gotta find,
Maybe try a different kind of email account.
maybe
I mean,
my,
Gmail, I find Gmail works pretty well.
Yeah, Gmail is really good.
that was suggested.
As much as I don't like Google.
Okay.
Okay. John, there it is. Any thoughts?
Me? Well, this goes back to what I was saying before about a subcommittee and how a subcommittee might be able to just take a lot of this work off the full commission. And my see, I've never mentioned Miriam or anyone else by name in terms of any kind of criticism. My only thought was towards having time on the committee meetings to actually accomplish other things. We spend so much time talking about this one particular project. So my question was, which of these tasks require a meeting from us and which require a vote? And if a lot of this can be done in a subcommittee with authority from the group, not just a group of people, but some sort of official subcommittee that has its own voting authority, then to come back to the full meeting, for like larger votes or whatever.
Yeah.
I just think that would be really efficient, and it would be
Well, that's what we're doing, John.
yeah.
And
I mean, it
So
sounds like that, but it also fills the schedule. This work plan really fills the schedule. So I'd like to get started with other things, but I just find myself overwhelmed with the amount of data and emails and attachments and so forth that I just feel like I don't have the energy, to do more. I'm not working at this full time. This is supposed to be a part-time, pleasant experience. And I find myself my eyes are just like rolling, from all the data. But it looks like a good plan, from what I understand, the only vote that we have to take is review data and recommendations. Is that?
We'll have some meetings and discussion. And, we'll meet with Lise and Mark Andrews. And we'll look, we can pull up photographs, we can pull up maps for those meetings so people can look at things. You don't necessarily have to look at them before the meeting if you don't have the time. And then we will have to make a decision based on what the TIPO says. What do we want to say to the planning board? And, I have a draft of possible things that we can recommend, but we will have to table all of that until we hear something definitive from a TIPO.
Yeah, in other words, we, the folks working directly, the team working directly on this, have a mandate to go through these steps. We will keep you updated, and at certain junctures, at certain moments, we will vote as to, do we agree that this report should go forward? Do we agree that that would be the really important vote, of course, the final report that would go to the planning board.
I would like to make.
The only other comment I have on the plan is that it looks like there's one thing missing, which is the walking the land. And I
can't do that. That might be, John, might be a recommendation that we would give the planning board.
I see. Yeah.
So one recommendation would be that a TIPO and the members, some representatives of the historical commission get to do site visits. We might ask for a more detailed survey. I don't even want to get into what the recommendations are because I don't know yet.
We don't.
I see. So that would be part of a recommendation.
Yes.
That's a future.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yeah.
I would like to move that a working group be established, including Henry Geddes, Miriam Defont, and Janice Stone, to prepare. Excuse me. To prepare.
Okay.
Draft documents for responding to the planning board special permit applications.
Okay.
The motion is on the table.
I requested to be a part of that working group a while back. It wasn't responded.
Mary Lou, honestly, if you're having difficulty with computers, we're doing this all remotely and digitally, and I just don't think it's going to be realistic if you're having this much difficulty with your emails.
aside from that, we've already, this is a group of people who have really direct experience, not only with this commission, but also on other commissions, which, we need, I think as chair, I'd like to keep it at the three mentioned. It's just more practical and moving forward, we will be as transparent as possible in terms of what comes up and how we do this. So that's usually how it works.
So my understanding is Janice new on this committee, because you had question when you were saying her name earlier, Henry.
Well, no, she's been identified by me as a person.
Tonight, this morning? Sorry.
Okay. No, it goes back a ways. This is the kind of situation where basically the chair has to determine, based on the experience with personnel, who is really kind of coming forward with really the creds, the kinds of things they're doing, the experience that make a difference towards this end. That's my job as the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Could we have I have a motion on the floor. Can we move for a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call.
Okay, well, my name, Janice Stone. Janice?
We lost Janice.
Yeah, you're muted.
Sorry. Aye.
Yeah, no, we're taking a vote here. We second the motion to appoint, to recognize myself, Janice Stone, and Miriam Defant as part of this working team to put forward the working plan on the what are we going to call this? Let's call it something. What's it called, Miriam?
The CSL project.
CSL project. Okay, thank you. We have a second motion. We're voting. Janice Stone, how do you vote?
Aye.
Miriam Defant.
Aye.
John Walter.
Aye.
Mary Lou Conca Farrow, excuse me.
Aye, and it is Conca.
Okay. And Greg Cole.
Aye.
And you, Henry.
Henry Gett is aye. Okay, thank you. All right.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
I
Greg.
seconded. Greg.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, doke. So we move on to new business. Anything that we have not discussed here that is worthy of discussion?
Do you want to talk about the Celebrate Shutesbury
Book
book?
and digitization thereof.
Yep.
Maybe that's, can I talk about it?
Yeah,
Just
go ahead. I'd love to
respond
hear
to
what you
that.
have to say. Sure.
I think it's a great idea. It should be available on the website. It's sort of out of print, so that'd be lovely for an important document to be available on the website. I'm happy to help any way I can. I can scan too, whatever is helpful. But
Okay.
I think it absolutely is a great idea to put it up on the website.
Great. If I have two questions. One is, can we just agree that once we get it scanned, I'll make sure with the web committee that there's enough bandwidth on our website, our homepage for it. I don't know how much memory the documents can be. And then the other question was if people had recommendations of what format it should be in, whether it should be a PDF or a multi-page TIFF.
Is that something that we can deal with
Separately?
Separately, like
Yeah.
yeah.
I just, if people had any recommendations, TIFF is a better format for photographs. And there are a lot of photographs in the booklet.
TIFFs can be large.
Do they take up a lot of memory?
So Miriam, should you not check with them first before you start doing anything to make sure that there's?
Oh, yeah. Well, I would, but then there's, the they'll
You're
say,
gonna
well, how big is the document? I mean,
You're
I
gonna-
can figure it out. I can go look at some sample documents. It's about 100 pages. So, but it's gonna, if for a PDF, I mean, the other thing I can do is I can break it down into chapters, which might be a little bit more manageable. That probably is what I would do is break it down into different files.
PDF is very simple, really. You could do it as a web page. You could put them up, the text and images up as a website itself or a whole page. But PDF is quite simple.
Yeah.
So-
And it's
so-
something that everybody has, most people know how to deal with them.
Yes.
Excuse me, I have the book in front of me. It's 122 pages.
Yeah.
They give an acknowledgement to the Shutesbury Education Foundation. I don't know if we're supposed to now be talking to them.
I already did. And I have permission to do this.
Oh, good. Okay, so that's helpful. Would we be adding anything? Because when I went to Celebrate Shutesbury, they were like, I have two books actually. They were like papers that were added. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody just made the papers and they went along with the book.
Oh, well, I don't
Yeah.
have any of those.
We could ask Leslie about that because that day she was sitting in the, what you call the schoolhouse that they
Okay.
opened.
I can do that.
I think there might have been something, an addendum, maybe a correction to some page or something like
Okay.
that was inserted afterwards. So yeah, that's a good idea to check on that.
Great.
As long as you have really good quality scans and what I mean to say is go ahead and put it up with the understanding that once a real plan is drawn up for investigating and organizing our heritage, whatever, things are going to be rearranged. So the website's not going to look like it does right now. There's going to be links to off-site locations for things. And it would be nice to have things in a searchable format, as well as all this other stuff that comes up when you're dealing with images, image history. So as long as you have a good scan and hang on to it, I don't know if a TIFF is necessary. A PDF is probably just fine.
Okay.
But that's a big document. It would be nice to get a hold of the original file.
It would be.
If somebody out there still has a computer with the original document in a computer file, it would be easier to work from that than trying to scan each page.
I don't think we're going to do that.
Yeah. I don't know who was on the Celebrate
I mean,
Shutesbury committee, but
One of the people who was really instrumental in creating this document is left town and retired. And I've been in contact with a couple of people with the foundation to get permission, but I can ask, but I don't think they have it.
well, that would be the gold standard, because you could do anything with that. And then, I've said my piece. So, there are security issues with, and I don't mean to point you out again, Miriam, it just happens to fall in your lap that you have the keys to the website. So you need to be careful not to be posting things without full authorization, which you're getting now. And I understand, I just wanted to make that clear that usually there should be a dual authentication for access to any kind of, social media, things like that.
I think that the web committee usually reviews anything that's put up as well. And I think they also, at least before, it used to be that it was sort of limited what you could do with your web page in terms of formatting. It's within whatever program they're using. I'm not sure if they allow you other linked other pages that are connected to your thing, not just by a link, but actually like a separate thing. Like I think there was an issue with the school having its own website versus being on the town's website. And I think they ended up being able to do that. But Otherwise, that's often a problem. So it might be good checking in with
No,
the
that was
the
my plan.
website, committee to find out for the
Yeah,
future what can be allowed.
Yeah, because I was managing the website when I was chair, secretary, whatever. You were secretary, I was chair.
Yeah.
Yes, so everything has to be cleared with the web committee because there are limits on how much data or memory they have. So that would be one of the questions I have to get cleared with them.
Okay. Yeah.
But to answer your question, John, I've never put anything up on the web page without consent from the commission. Nor would I.
And
It's just
I think
important to point that out.
yeah, it's important. It's an important point, and we're all, of course, very aware of copyright law. You know, Miriam in particular has a PhD that has been around the academic environment, so she's well aware of the possibilities and limitations of that. Okay, anything else? New business? Any other new business? We're hitting the midday mark. That's a good sign. We could have lunch soon. Yeah.
How about
Is
would
that
you
an invitation, Henry? I'll be at your house shortly.
I wish I could say that. Unfortunately,
Ah.
are we ready for a motion to adjourn, or is there anything else?
Could we meet?
Next date for the meeting.
I'm just wondering, Janice, with your schedule, could we meet on the 26th?
I was just thinking that.
I have to go get my calendar. I'll be right back.
What day is that of the week?
Tuesday.
Thursday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. I was just thinking that day, Miriam, 3 days before the submission to the news article.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to suggest for that agenda, and as a point of order, usually chairs organize agendas because items come up in between meetings, and I've never seen a situation where an agenda is approved weeks in advance because of that. The chair needs to have some flexibility, but Henry should be approving any final agendas always. But just for clarity, because we're going to have a lot to do, what I would like to suggest for that meeting is that we review contracts, the newsletter submission, and maybe have Lise McLaughlin attend that meeting. At least part of it.
Okay, so I looked at.
Could you
Go
tell
ahead.
us what ends up? Can you also put on that agenda that discussion about what we've done with this Celebrate Shutesbury document?
I may not have it done by then.
Or
so
have decided to do.
Follow up. I mean, basically what you're doing here is you're beginning the process of really digging in, and maybe at that meeting we can establish a document committee, document working group, because we've only talked about it, but we haven't actually.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why I'm doing this, John, is because I bought a copy off of eBay that I'm willing to tear up.
Oh, why, Miriam? What they give them out at the town hall? Why did you have to buy it?
Because they can't find any more left at town hall.
Oh.
They've been given out. And I just happened to find a copy. I don't want to tear up my copy.
Okay.
And I found an extra one on eBay. And I'm going to take it apart because for scanning, for a book, you really need to take it apart to scan it properly. I am not undertaking the digitization of anything else at this point. That's just because I saw it, I thought I would do it.
So for the 26th, I believe that's a night of a select board meeting. And if it is, then I have to attend that, having to do with cemetery commission. I don't know anything about what time, but it also may make our meeting difficult since they seem to have a problem allowing 2 meetings on the same time.
Yeah, they don't want us doing that. And also,
Can't we do it earlier?
Let me
And-
look at I have to look at the schedule. Hold on, I'm having trouble. My
Because it's
computer's.
not on the town schedule.
Yeah, but you can sort of tell when regular commission.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm having my computer's freezing. Give me a second. I've got to get onto that website and see meetings, calendars. So
Yeah,
who
yeah,
usually meets on Tuesday? There's a bunch of different people that meet. I cannot meet during the afternoon. I have a commitment.
I'm looking at the calendar for the 26th. I don't see anything down. This is the town calendar.
it's blank on mine too.
Yeah,
like-
but they meet every 2 weeks and they met on the 12th. So they're going to meet again on the 26th.
Okay, so it's just a given. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to jump into the Wednesday slot because we got into a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah.
we crowded another committee. That's why we had problems on Wednesday night.
So how about
They only
Monday?
meet, don't they only meet once a month if that's the Council on Aging?
Yes, so they just met on the 13th. So we'd
Yes.
probably be safe on the 27th if we
I
want to meet on
I
Wednesday.
think so.
Or Monday, is that not a good day?
That's when the planning board usually meets.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but
And
they-
they're going to be meeting. They're meeting on the 25th.
Well, yeah, they're meeting on the 11th, not
So
on
then-
the 18th. Okay, so
Right,
they,
yeah.
all right,
Okay,
The
so
27th.
27th.
That's
Wait a
okay.
minute.
That's fine.
wait a minute. The 25th is the planning board? I had a question about the planning board.
No, let's decide on the
Yeah.
meeting, please. Is the 27th a good date? What time? 7? Is that the time that?
Wait, that's a Wednesday?
Yes.
Can we do it a little earlier, 6:30?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm open, I'm flexible.
6 PM is good.
John,
PM would be
John, can you
great.
make it?
On Wednesday? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, good.
What time?
6 PM?
6 would be good.
I'm okay.
Okay, all
Yeah.
set.
Anybody object?
Nope.
Okay, 6.
But I still have a question about the planning board.
Okay.
And wait, a question about the agenda for the 26th then. Do we want
7th.
Lise to attend it, to
27th.
talk to us?
27th.
Sorry, the 27th. Do you want to have Lisa come
And why would we want that?
to talk to her about what we're going to be having her do?
That's only if the contract is finalized by
Thought
then?
we were
or what?
contracting. Okay.
Yeah, I suspect things should be done by then.
Okay,
It's moving along, so
so that's a possibility if the
it's a very
contract
high
is done,
possibility, yes.
if the thing has been submitted to the planning board so that we need to start moving on stuff. Right,
Sounds good.
Okay, you had a question, Mary Lou?
Yeah, so a while ago, I went to a planning board meeting. I think Miriam was there. You were there too, Henry. And we talked about this whole, yeah, I don't know what you call it, getting a seat on their board. And there was a young gentleman who was like, yay, let's take a vote. And then what's his face came in, Jeff Lacy came in and there was no vote taken. And it just kind of, I don't know what happened to it. So that's my question. What happened to us?
Are you talking about, what are you, I'm not sure what topic you're talking about, Mary Lou. I'm confused.
About the historical commission getting a seat so that we are like on board with what the planning board does. You know what I'm saying? Like that
It
they,
came up, yeah.
right?
They
That
told me what I heard from Tessa Dowling, who is the land use clerk that works for the Concom and the planning board. She said that the planning board decided that as soon as they get the digital applications, the electronic submissions, they're going to put them immediately up on their website. And that will be how we will get access to the full application packet, is it will be available to the public on their website.
You can
Okay,
bet, you can bet
so-
that, you can bet that the chair or secretary or even Janice will be at those meetings with the planning board anyway, as part of the audience, to know what's going on.
Right.
So, you know, it's not like we were not expecting some formal, you know, oh, we'll have a delegate assigned to the planning board. No, it's just, yeah.
Why not? Why not?
It's not necessary.
Okay.
There are no vacancies on the planning board, Mary Lou.
No, I'm not looking for an official seat. I'm just looking for them to recognize in an official manner, perhaps they have to take a vote, that they will indeed, you know, because people say a lot of stuff and they don't do what they say. I've been around so many people who just like to talk, right? So I thought that when we went to that meeting, that planning board meeting, that we were making something official, that we were getting them to say, yes, we will officially, a part of our goal with this, with the town of Shutesbury is to consult with with us as historic people who are dedicated to preserving the land here, you know. I thought that was going to happen. And that young gentleman who said, hey, put a vote. And then I thought everybody was going to vote. And it just got turned around. I'm like, what? Whatever happened?
No,
So
Mary Lou, we
I
have no,
understand.
we have
Yes.
no control over the planning board's,
Okay.
you know, decisions and what they're thinking and what they've discussed.
Yeah.
What we do have is a direct line to them.
Okay.
They've acknowledged that we're involved clearly at meetings so far, and they're expecting a report from us. Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they're going to give us whatever information comes up for them.
And so is Lise going to be the consultant to help us prepare it with lingo that can be appreciated by the planning board? Is that part of a task? Her task?
In part, yeah.
Ah, okay. That's good.
Yeah, she has a degree in engineering.
Well, I have a degree in a lot of things. Okay,
I
that's
don't.
good.
All right. So any parting thoughts then? I think we covered most of everything. I hope everybody has a great day today.
Thank you, Henry.
Let's get a little smile on the face. All right. So anyway, good to see you all. And I guess we'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Anybody second?
I'll second.
Okay. Au revoir.
Thank you.
Unanimous consent, I assume.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye, aye,
Arrivederci.
Yes. Okay.
Enthusiastic consent.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you,
Bye.
John.
All right.
Bye. All right. We'll be in touch.